Hi guys, and welcome to Vegan Booty Talks. I have a guest today with me. She's an athlete. She is a retreat host and IFBB Bikini Pro. She has 1.8 million listeners on her podcast. Welcome to the show, Emily Hiden. Hi, how are you today?
Hello, I'm doing wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me as a repeat guest. I'm so honored.
Oh my God, I'm so honored as well. I was wanted to do it when you was around on Oahu and during your retreat, but we were just busy involving and working on ourselves and enjoying the beautiful island of Oahu. So I thought, that's okay. We can just do it a little later.
Yeah, I think it's perfect. I love being present more than anything in the world. And so I think us getting to be in Oahu together was really special. And I'm really glad that we just decided to do this. Is more business, right? It's fun and we love it. But I'm glad we decided to just connect personally and have more time for that and then get to do this later because now we just get to connect again.
Yes, I agree. I agree. So whoever listened to that, there was a Involve with Emily retreat on Iceland, Oahu, just like 2 weeks ago. Am I right?
Yeah.
No.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
a
my God,
couple
sounds
weeks
like
ago. Yeah.
forever.
I know it honestly, time is going by so quick right now. It's crazy.
Yes, because a lot of things going on. I think it's like, yeah, everyone I think feel that. It's some different energy of this earth that now, for whatever reason, everything is just flowing so quick that you don't really, feel like it's a one day. Sometimes you can experience things in a one day that you may, experience in a weeks before.
That's so true. Yeah.
Okay, before we get started, do whatever questions I have for you today. Just, I'm sure a lot of people know who you are, but just for those folks that maybe didn't discover you yet, can you tell us a little more about what do you do right now and where you living right now and maybe whatever you want to share?
Sure. Thank you so much. My name is Emily Hayden. I am a retreat host, also a podcast host. My retreats are called Evolve with Emily Retreats. They're transformational health and wellness type of retreats. We do a lot of deep inner work on ourselves, raising your self-awareness, your clarity to things that may be holding you back in life, and also helping you to become the most empowered version of yourself, getting to know yourself deeper, love yourself deeper, and to really look at the corners and maybe like the dark places inside that we haven't really wanted to address or look at. We look at those in a very loving way, in a way that, it's hard to look at some areas of our lives that maybe we're not as proud of, or maybe we want to change, or maybe will just be very difficult to change. But I hope that what I do at the retreats is provide a really safe space for you to do that in a way that doesn't feel so heavy on your own. And while doing that, we also get to explore beautiful places together, create new friendships and connections. And it's really just a really beautiful part of my business that I love. It's one of those things, I feel like everyone always asks you that question. If money wasn't an issue, what would you do? And for
Yeah.
me, it's my podcast and my retreats. And so that's why I'm like so passionate about doing it, because I would do it regardless if money was involved or not. And on the business side of things, we're actually still working to make it a profitable business. And that's what keeps me going. Just speaking business terms here, you have to be very passionate about what you do, because you have to realize when you start a new business, chances are it's going to take a little while for you to actually turn some profit over. And so that's what I've experienced in my retreat business is we haven't gotten it profitable just yet. But it's something that I'm so passionate about and I feel so strongly purposeful in that I'm willing to keep going, even in the times when it's not turning a profit just yet. And then the other side of my business is my Evolve with Emily my Evolve with Emily podcast. And that is like a passion project of mine as well. We are just about to hit 2 million downloads for the show. So I'm really excited for that. Yeah, it's a big, just a big goal that I've had for a while. And that's been a really beautiful platform for me to speak into people's lives, just like you, all over the world. And it's so cool how we get to connect for an hour, maybe 20 minutes or 30 minutes, however long the episode is. And the reflections that I've heard from that definitely help keep me going. There was a DM the other day where someone shared, they said, I genuinely think that you and your podcast were a part of saving my marriage, because I was in such an anger, bitterness, resentment, and it was things I needed to work on and address. And your episodes always helped me to take responsibility, take ownership, to look at these things and make positive changes. And so that was a really beautiful reflection. And those reflections always help keep me going. They add more fuel to the fire that I've already got for it. So I love what I do. I love hosting and cultivating space for people to do deep inner work on themselves. I love intentional conversations and talking about things that really matter, talking about things that are going to produce change and not just a momentary inspiration for people. And then I live in San Diego. I have two Frenchies, Vinny and Frankie. They're sleeping on the couch next to me right now. They're so cute. And I love my life in San Diego so much. I really have worked hard to create a life that I love, so that I love the process of where I'm going in life. And there was a long time where I started to realize that I was living life for the next trip, for the next goal that I reached. And if you're living life like that, man, you are going to be so incredibly disappointed. And you have to realize that the process, the journey makes up 95% of your life. The moment of reaching the goal of reaching this thing you worked for, or the next high, so to speak, it's so little. Even the retreats, I love the retreats and what I do. But those moments, if you look at that in terms of like the year, it's pretty short. So if I were to live for these highs, that's no way to live at all. And so what I've really done is be intentional about becoming a co-creator in my own life, so that every single day I am loving my life. Every day I'm so excited to do the things that I do on a Monday. On Wednesdays I go to Run Club, and it's just this little thing that I do that brings me so much joy and so much happiness. And so whether I'm doing a podcast, I'm planning the next thing for the retreat, hopping on a meeting for a speaking gig, or running to Run Club, I'm so excited to live the life that I live. And I really want to share the fact that it wasn't always this way. I've really worked so hard on creating this life for myself. And I say that because I don't want someone to listen to this and say, we get it, you have a great life, that's great, I don't. And to feel like they can't relate to me. Like I literally was in those shoes of not enjoying my life, of feeling like I needed to escape. Like I know all too well what all those feelings feel like. That's why when I'm here, I speak with such gratitude and appreciation. And I have no problem sharing that I love my life. I don't feel that I know that it's not coming from an egotistical place or as a way to show off. That's not it at all. It's this deep gratitude that, oh, I did it. Like I created this life that I love and that I'm really excited about. And I hope that my journey can help inspire others to realize that they too can become the co-creators in their life. They too can create a life that they love, even if right now they feel so far away from it. Even if right now they're like, I don't like one part of my life. It's like, okay, great. You have all the opportunity in the world. There's so many things that we can do right now. We can make changes to create a life that you actually love and look forward to living every single day. So that may be more than you were asking for, but it's a little bit about what I do. A little bit about me and my life right now.
No, that's just perfect. Thank you so much for sharing all of this. This is a crucial to know you better. And especially for those folks that are listening to maybe a first version of our interview, so they can see the difference of things that you talk and mention, and then that you focus on. So can I ask you how? Because I know that whoever listens to that, right, and maybe is not in the best spot in their life that they want it to be, they probably have a question. So how you did it, right? What are those things that happened to you that actually help you to figure it out? Like push yourself at least to do something to get out from that life that you didn't like, that you didn't enjoy.
Yeah, that's such a good question. When I go back and I think about my own journey and I think about what was adding to my own pain and internal suffering, the one thing that is just very prominent in my mind right now is that I was not listening to my inner self. I was not listening to my soul. And I had a lot of practical reasons why I couldn't follow my heart and follow my soul. And I'll give you an example. I lived in LA for 7 years and I loved it there. It served me. And then it started not serving me anymore. And so I made the move from LA back to Texas in 2021. And in Texas, I got a big house because you can literally get a house for the same amount as an apartment in LA. So I got a house, I put a studio in there. Like I really set up this really beautiful life. And I start living my life in Texas and I'm enjoying the relief that I was feeling from everything that LA, like I said, it wasn't serving me in many ways. And so Texas for a moment in time really provided me with relief from all of those things in LA. And I really loved it. But as I started to live my life in Texas, slowly by little by little, I started realizing I was like, everything that makes my heart sing is not here in Texas. I love the ocean. I love mountains. I love hiking. I love nature as a part of my daily life. And I found myself on Instagram after working like a 14-hour day. And I'm talking like waking up at 5 a.m. to train jujitsu, training Muay Thai, working all day long, multiple meetings, filming multiple podcasts, just coaching calls, like working my butt off, 14-hour day. At the end, I'm sitting on my couch and I'm scrolling and I'm looking at the most beautiful places of nature on Instagram. And my heart there would be these like heart flutters. I would almost tear up just looking at them. And so for me, those were little messages from my inner soul saying, this is who you are. Like, this is what you need to have in your life. And I was so far from that. And so I decided, okay, I have to start booking trips. My soul needs this. So I did, and I booked a trip or two. But here's the thing, when I'm booking a trip or two, number one, I'm leaving my dogs, which my dogs are like my literal children. I don't like leaving them for very long. Like it has to be quick for me, I'll go do my thing and come back. And then also it's just far. If I want to go to any real nature that touches my soul from Houston, Texas, it's far. It means I'm taking a flight. Like I'm really leaving. And what I found is that when I got back to Texas, I'd get back in my routine and I had needed another trip to look forward to. So now all of a sudden I was living my life only to leave. I was living my daily life so that I could get on a flight and leave that daily life. And that didn't feel good to me. I didn't like the fact that I wanted to escape my everyday reality. I had already lived for 7 years in a place that for those 7 years brought me so much joy. Like just sitting at the ocean's right here. It brings me so much joy that it doesn't matter what's happening in life. And what I found is that life is too short to not be where the things are and to do the things that bring you joy. There is this woman, I'll just sidetrack real quick. There's this woman, her name is Gina. She is actually from the Ukraine. She lives in my building.
You told me, yeah.
She's a very elderly woman. I'm not sure exactly how old, but at the end of her life, and she's always giving me life advice. And she'll tell me over and over, she said, Emily, the reason I'm at the ocean is because it brings me joy and life is too short. You have to do what makes you joyful and what makes you happy. And I know it seems so simple to say that, but I was a person who I was living my everyday life in an environment that I was grateful for, that I really tried hard to make work, but it wasn't where my soul was calling me to be. And I wasn't listening to that. I was just scrolling on Instagram and I was like, man, I wish, or like maybe one day I could move back, and here's the logistical, practical part I was talking about. I had a lease with the house that I was in. And so I was like, well, I can't move for another X amount of years or whatever. Yet here I am, little by little, my soul is like crying out to me, please, like go be where I'm calling you to be. And it wasn't until I booked a 3-day trip to come to San Diego. And I told myself, okay, I'm going to go and it's a trip just for myself. And I'm just going to check it out. What would it be like to live there? And the first day of the trip, I get off the flight and immediately I am meeting people left and right. These people are like, I'm like, oh, we're going to be friends. I'm in alignment with you guys. I know it right away. And I'm meeting people. I feel like I have friends. I feel like there's this community. There's this flow and rhythm of life that already existed. And as soon as I got off the flight, it was already here for me. And everything that I tried so hard to create in Texas myself, I was like, I'll host community events and I will create the community that I wish to have. But it just, nothing was really clicking on a soul level for me. And it's like I was trying so hard. And then I came here and it required no effort. It required me getting on the flight and showing up. So that 3-day trip, I actually never left. I canceled my flight home. I looked for a short-term apartment and I signed for an apartment the next day, and I missed my flight home because I sat at the ocean and I broke down crying. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like this is where I'm supposed to be. My soul knows that I have to be here. And so I made that really big shift in my life, and it was really scary. It was really uncomfortable, but I could no longer not listen to what my soul was calling me to do. And back then, I didn't have such a strong, deep relationship with myself like I do now. Now I am so sensitive to all the messages that my body, that my divine self, that source and God is telling me. I'm so much more aware when I'm getting those little messages. I don't question if God's talking to me. I don't question if my soul is feeling, this way, or calling me to make this change, or calling me to use my voice and to stand up and to be strong. Like I built such a deep relationship with myself that now I listen and I follow, because I know what it's like to not listen to your soul's calling, to not listen to that voice inside, to listen to the divine when he's saying, leave this relationship. This is not the environment for you. This is not the right work environment. They don't value you. Right. And now I'm able to recognize those messages and I listen.
Yeah, wow. That's a huge transformation you went through. And maybe it's going to sound cliche and strange, but I will ask you again, because you explained what's happened to you, but we want to know, of course, how. So how you can actually listen to your soul practically, and, and then put you out from those either situations or relationships that you don't want to be in, because it's really hard. Like if you are thinking about that, right? If you remember how did you felt that time, what maybe those practical things, I don't know, maybe meditation,
Yes.
maybe journaling, like whatever you did in order to actually find, first of all, spiritual power. And then we're going to talk about finances, because even before that is really hard when you're stuck in that, unhappy circle.
Such a good question. I love your question. Thank you for clarifying, because I really do want it to be for people to be able to apply this to their own lives.
Thank you.
So yes, some of the practices that have really helped me to tune into those messages and to even hear them in the first place. Number one, I have to get alone. I have to get away from all the noise. We are inundated so much with so much information. Sometimes we don't even know what's ours and what is everyone else's opinion, because we're scrolling online and we're listening to everyone's opinion about everything. And yet we're never taking time for ourselves. So a practice that has really helped me is journaling and meditation. Those are probably two of my top practices for self-awareness and to get really clear. Here's the thing. When you want to get really clear on something, if you will simply just get alone and give yourself space to listen to yourself, that is often where the answer comes. So in a practical sense, I would say, get alone. Maybe if you need to, do like a 5 or a 10-minute guided meditation, just for the purpose of quieting your mind and getting your mind into the meditative state. And then after that meditation, typically, then you're in a place, you might be in a place where you can be in receptive mode to listen to what's happening, and then ask yourself really good questions. So tune in, put your hand on your heart and say, what is the truth about this situation? What is my soul desiring in life? What does my soul need more of? What does my soul need less of? And what environments do I thrive? Right? Like start asking yourself these good questions just to build a little self-awareness, to get some more clarity on your situation. Do you really need to leave your work situation altogether? Or are they just treating you the way that you allow them to treat you? Do you need to speak up? Do you need to say, hey, This is the value that I've brought the company over the last 2 years. And based on this value, I believe that I should have a value increase in my payment, right? Like ask for, maybe it requires you asking for a raise. Maybe when you get really clear on it, you realize they don't value me. They aren't providing more opportunity for me. And I don't feel respected at work. I have spoken up and nothing's changed and they don't listen. And my soul knows it's time to move on. I'm just recognizing that there's fear of instability. I fear not finding another job, right? So like by writing these things down and getting really clear with yourself about what is actually happening, what is the truth, what is your soul calling you to, then I believe that will help give you some clarity on the situation that you're currently in. When I was going through the situation of just recognizing, wow, my soul really needs nature, my first step for me wasn't moving across the country. My first step for me was looking online at places that I wanted to go. And then the next step was going just to one of those places. And then I loved it. I was like, yes, that's what my soul needed. I feel refreshed. I come back. And then through self-awareness practices and journaling, I realized, oh no, that did fulfill me and that was refreshing. However, I'm realizing that now I'm only living my life for the next trip. And now I need to take another step. So now what could the step be? Well, maybe I could create a plan for myself and a goal of eventually getting back out to the West Coast where I love. And that's when the next step for me was then booking a trip just to check it out. I had no idea that my soul is going to be so loud when I got here that I would move and I would listen to it right away. Right. So sometimes it's baby steps. Sometimes it's just taking the next right step with no expectation on the outcome. And then just trusting yourself that you'll listen to yourself and listen to your soul while being realistic. Something I want to mention. Sometimes people get held back by practicals. For example, I mentioned that I was in a lease. I emailed my leasing agent. I had already had over a year and a half or a little bit more of a really good positive relationship with them. And so I emailed them and let them know that I needed to go to the West Coast and I would really like to get out of my lease. And they literally let me out of my lease because I asked. I didn't even have to pay a fine. And sometimes they'll let you if you pay a fine. They literally just let me go. And I feel like it was God's way of being like, this is my blessing. Yes, you can go, you know? And so if people have these practical things in their minds, that's like, well, I can't do that because of this. Don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to think outside of the box, to find other ways and other solutions. See it almost like a game and say, okay, this feels like it wouldn't work, but let's play pretend. What would happen if we just asked them to get me out of my lease? They'll probably say no, but let me try, right? And maybe don't even say probably say no. I need to stop doing that. And I want to encourage other people to stop doing that. Say they might say yes, and that would be very exciting. And I would welcome that, right? So it's always ways around. And let's say that they hadn't let me out of my lease. Maybe the next step, maybe I would help get them a sublease and I would wait around until someone could lease it. Or maybe I pay a fine. Like there's so many steps that we can create. And I think people too often limit themselves and say, I can't. And they sit back on the couch.
You're right.
Where there's a will, there's a way, no matter what it is, you know. And if you don't know the answer, start having conversations and start putting your desire out there and even pray and say, God, I really desire to get back to the West Coast. That's where I feel fulfilled and inspired and motivated. And I feel so in my purpose. And I surrender to your timing. If I have to wait out this lease another year and a half, I will do it. But I just want to put it out there. This is my desire. And let that happen. Let it happen how it's meant to happen. I never would have expected that I could have done things so quickly. Had I known, I would have done it a lot sooner. You know?
Of course. Oh my God. It sounds so good to me. Like, this is my life. Like, I always take that risk. And if I wouldn't ask so many things in my life, I would never be here when I'm right now talking to you. I had chills when you said, like, if there's a will, there's a, you know, because like, it's absolutely what I see a lot of people missing out. They don't really believe that things can work for them, and then it's nothing hurt you just to try. Like, if you want to do something and you think you can't, ask yourself, have I tried? if I tried, how many times? Okay, because if you want to do something and you tried 100, maybe even 1,000 times, and then if 1,001, it's not going to happen. Well, yes, maybe that's the wrong path for you. But if you even try 5, 10, 12 times and you think you cannot do it, well, maybe it's just not the right time, but you keep praying and keep trying to do something. And, you know, it's funny thing. I wanted to share a little story about that. Like my husband and I was playing in this little game, just a game where I think we found this as a challenge and somewhere on the internet. So my husband said, you know, I found like this type of a challenge that you can ask anyone anywhere about something for free. Like, let's say you go to Starbucks and you ask them to give you a coffee for free. And then from 10 to 15 people, at least one will say yes. And he said there was a challenge on the internet that they saw that this is working. So we started to play that game. Wherever we go, we were just like ordering something, and then when, you know, the waiter can't come, we like, can we have that for free, like dessert for free? And it was so interesting. First of all, how people react, right? Asking something like that is like a whole different experience because you can really see their personality. And but on the other hand, we always was wonder if anyone actually gonna say yes. And what happened, which is absolutely funny because it's maybe like a month or so we were trying this and never get success, only like laughing from that, like no one has actually give us anything for free. We try like a couple times coffee, restaurants. And there's a day I was in like a big mall in Hawaii, and then I was buying my new sneakers. Like I wanted to buy a new Converse for the gym. So it was a little expensive, so I wasn't like, I don't really know if I need them. And my husband said, no, I'm gonna get them for you, it's fine. So he's paying for that. I'm staying like a beautiful, happy woman, like my husband is taking care of me. And then he's asking the girl, the cashier, about, you know what, can you give me, and theirs was like a small kind of like a keychains of Converse on the back. And he said, you know what, can I have that small keychain for my key for free? And she's like, what, this one? And then he's like, yeah. And she's like, okay. It was like $25. And he said, wow. And he said, really? He got excited. And she's like, oh yeah, it's okay, I'll give you as a present. And then we explained her that story. Like we said, you know what, we were trying to do that so many times and no one said yes. You were the first person who said yes. And she's like, yeah, because I an owner of this store, so she can do that because she's an owner actually. Oh my gosh. The thing is, she actually said yes, and we got something. So it's just a small example that you never know, right? Yes. That you may ask and then you may get something that you want, not only financially. It's nothing to hurt to ask. Take those risks in life, and that's how you actually feel alive. That's what makes life interesting, right? What if you would stuck in taxes and scrolling through those stories until your lease end just because you never asked? What if that, right? Literally. Yeah, I'm so happy for you. And then I'm, for anyone who listened to that, like my story, if you know me a little bit, you know my life story, that if I never tried, I would never even end up in America. So it's just like, show you guys that anything possible. And whatever is going on in your life, if you feel like it's not working for you and you're not happy, try to get out from that circle. The only thing I don't want people to do is just choose mentality of being hurt and being unresponsible for their lives, and then just complaining, you know, like let's say like, my life is not good, I don't like what I do, but I'm stuck in this circle because of this and that. Don't take that. Don't take that position, because you in position in your life to make your life better and to make yourself happy. Don't wait until someone from outside come and make you happy. It's never going to be the case. Even if you're in love with someone, don't put that pressure on your partner to make you happy. It has to come from inside, right?
So good. Yes. I think where you're taking this is so important, because regardless of what's going on in your life, the most important thing you could do is cultivate a relationship from within and really work on yourself. Because if you have the relationship with yourself, you take that everywhere you go, meaning
Yes.
the things inside that maybe you haven't addressed yet, the things from your past that maybe you haven't healed from yet, even the qualities or habits and patterns that you may have in your life that maybe you're not proud of and is not in alignment with the highest version of you. Be willing to look at those and really seek to work on your self-development, to work on your self-awareness, your ability to love yourself, because your relationship with yourself is it's the indicator of what your relationships with other people will be like. So if you don't truly love yourself, if you don't have respect for yourself, if you don't honor yourself, you're not truly going to be able to hold that space for other people. So it's really important to go on this journey of self-discovery first. And then as you start doing that, you start walking into self-mastery, which is when you truly are becoming a master at this relationship with yourself. And it's a never-ending relationship. So when I say master, don't see that as like better or worse. It's just you start to understand yourself in deeper ways so you can show up for yourself in better ways when you do have both the good and the bad moments, because those never stop coming. You just start getting really so much better, more productive, more efficient, more loving, more compassionate at handling those things in your life.
Yes, yes. And then I'm happy we actually ended up in this, because sometimes we think that our environment, the place we live, is making our decision, is making our, like our emotions and the way we feel about ourselves. And sometimes we wanted that escape. But in the end of the day, if you are not fulfilled inside and you don't really align with your true self, whatever you go, you will take that with you. And that's also has to be mentioned, because we can change our life. You can move to the beautiful island of Hawaii, for example, and then you will see the beautiful nature and you will find the amazing people. But if you are not, aligned with your true self, that's not gonna work. You're not gonna feel your
So good. And I believe what you're talking about here is true authenticity. So being willing to be the full spectrum of who you are. And I think a lot of people don't do this because they're scared of how other people may perceive them if they show them all aspects of who they are. Maybe they are even in groups and communities which have already expressed judgment for certain things. And so by being in that community, they're always practicing holding back parts of themselves. They're practicing not being truly authentic. And I'd really encourage you, if you need to, just to take some time away from those things, take some time away from any space where you're not showing up as your most authentic self. And just a reminder that it's on nobody else except for yourself. Like you get to take full ownership and responsibility of showing up as your authentic self or not. And in my own life, when I found that I was it's almost like I was just leaving some parts of myself out because I knew that they would not be accepted by certain people. I didn't realize, I wasn't like connecting it, that we are what we repeatedly do. So if I'm repeatedly practicing leaving out parts of myself, I'm never showing up as the fullest, most authentic version of myself, which means that, of course, I'm going to feel alone. Of course, I'm going to feel like no one knows me. I'm not giving them the opportunity to. So in my life, it was really crucial for me to take time alone to just figure out for myself, who are you really? What is the most authentic version of you? Away from the noise, away from other people's opinions and judgments. Get alone, take time for yourself, and really ask yourself, who are you? What is it that speaks to your heart and soul? What do you care about? What are your own personal values? How do you want to show up for your friends and your loved ones? How do you want to show up for them? What's important to you, right? Really identifying these things so that when you come back into a space, you might feel that nervousness still. It's normal to feel that, but instead you say, not being my authentic self is no longer a path that I can choose. So even if it means losing the relationship with this person, I'm going to show up as my authentic self. And so in that moment, you lovingly choose to share who you are. And then their response is not your problem. But based on how they respond, you can definitely choose if that's a relationship you want to pursue and continue. Or maybe you realize this isn't the most aligned relationship. And in that case, good, you're making room for aligned relationships in your life. And let me tell you what, aligned relationships in your life are some of the most beautiful friendships and connections that you will make. There is this song, and I actually have a reel to this song, and it's back when I visited Zion, and it's a video just so people can get an image of it. It's a video of me alone in nature. And the song is this really beautiful, emotional song, and it's saying, this is a place where I don't feel alone. And at the time, that was very true for me. Even though I was alone in nature, it's where I finally didn't feel alone. And for my season of my life, that was so true. And now today I heard that song and it brought me to tears, because I was like, the place where I no longer feel alone is in the community that I've now cultivated and created in my life, because it is the most authentic, real, genuine community. And it started because I led with that myself. I allowed people to see the fullest version of myself. And so now just recognizing that there's a new season of my life where the place I don't feel alone is actually with other people is just a beautiful thing. And it's such a testament to what you can do when you choose to work on yourself, you choose to focus on your healing, you truly show up as the most authentic version of you, not worrying if other people don't accept it, and then being intentional about those connections that you create.
Yes, exactly. So well said. And Don, you're a great example of that. And that's when the idea of retreats came to your mind, when you actually kind of experienced that you decided to help other people to do the same.
So retreats actually came much earlier. They came 2018, I believe was the first one that I did. The retreat came from a certain desire. So Evolve with Emily, the brand, started as a YouTube channel, and it was just a YouTube series that I was creating. And I was thinking of the name. I was like, what do I want this series to be? And it was a season of my life where I was doing a lot of personal work and development on myself. And I knew that I had two options in life. I could either accept life as it was, which I knew would not be me living up to my potential, not even close, or I could choose to evolve. And if I chose to evolve, it would be very difficult. It would be uncomfortable at times. I'd have to have really hard conversations. I'd have to make life-altering decisions. But I knew that that was a path towards living out my highest potential, towards alignment with my highest self. So I decided to call that YouTube series Evolve, and it ended up being 50 episodes on YouTube. People can still go back and watch. You'll see like the baby version of Emily. I used to even like speak differently. I feel like when I got on the camera, I would get on and I'd be really excited and I wanted to like bring energy. So I'd be like, hi everyone, welcome to my podcast. And I'm like speaking hi, it's kind of cute to go back.
I know.
You remember. And that started my personal development journey. And that evolved from that into a place where I started guiding people along their own journey of personal development into a coaching program called Evolve with Emily. I was a mentor and a coach to many, many women online, women and men actually. And then from there, I started a podcast, right? And that was the podcast Evolve with Emily. I'm sharing all my stuff online. And then built the desire to stop talking about evolving and to actually walk people through a journey of evolving. So the retreats became a tangible experience of evolving. I wanted to create a weekend experience. Back then, it was only 3 days. And I wanted to create a weekend experience that was specifically cultivated for people to experience what it's like to evolve in person, meaning they're going to experience heightened awareness, self-growth, clarity, connection, more love with self, love with others, a connection with God, right? So I cultivated this whole retreat, which you were at that first one that I did, which I think is so special. And that's how the retreats were born, was I wanted to help people along their own journey of evolving. And then naturally, as I've evolved throughout the years, what I've been able to bring to the retreat space has grown and expanded and evolved as, my own journey has.
Yeah, well, from just my experience, guys, from first retreat to the last one on Oahu, that's different type of experience, and it's different type of Emily as the person and as the leader I know. So whoever I know, I think your next one is already booked fully, right, in Icelandic. Yes. But maybe you can guys jump in on the next one. I totally recommend it to you. It's a great time to focus on yourself and then to reconnect or to maybe connect for the first time to your true high authentic self, and then to actually find who you are. And it's amazing to do just because you can, by doing this retreat and investing your time and money into that, you can create that space that we were talking about with you, when you can escape to work on yourself, because sometimes it's really hard to do, maybe not for everyone, but usually you have responsibilities, you have your family, you have your friends, and all the things that are pushing you in that bad behavior, in that, maybe not bad is a bad word for that, maybe just like in this old behavior, right? So when you can take yourself on a retreat like that and escape, you can focus on yourself, you can cultivate that new kind of version of you, and then step into the same room, but with a different attention. So it's going to be much easier, right, to show up as your true authentic self, and then to keep pursuing improvement and evolving, right? Because of course, either it's a 3 days or it's a 10 days, it's just the start. It's not the end of the journey. The end of the journey is probably never going to happen, right, for us, hopefully. Because even if we die, I hope my soul is going to keep evolving somewhere else, right?
Oh, I believe that fully. And I love what you're sharing, because I know sometimes it's scary for people to take that step and to go on a trip or a wellness retreat, but truly it's the ultimate form of self-love to say, you know what, I am worth it. I am worth taking a pause from reality and to come and to just spend time and money and space and effort on myself. It's so beautiful. I've had so many people reach out and say, from the moment they booked the ticket, that's when they started evolving, because they had this deep gratitude for themselves that, well, one, they felt a little scary. They're like, wow, I just did something that's kind of scary. I feel a little fear coming up. Then they got to move into, I feel gratitude that I know that I'm worth it. I know I'm worth spending that time, money, and energy investment on myself. And then afterwards, you already know, is like the coolest thing for them to see what it's like. And I'll say that I can only share this because I myself go to retreats. I myself go to workshops. I go to events, as I'm a student in all of the practices that I do. So yoga, meditation, breath work, I attend classes. I make myself the student always, because I'm never done learning, and there's always so much treasure there for me. Even in just a simple meditation class, it may be just one little thing that I pick up that brings a little bit of healing, maybe a little bit of peace or clarity to me. And it's always worth it to me. So, investing in myself, it might look like a meditation one class one day. It might look like joining a coaching program or going to a retreat, but I always invest in myself because it makes me better for me and everyone and everything else around me. As you elevate your business, your life, your relationships, your spirituality, it all elevates with you.
Yes, I totally agree with you. The same I'm trying to do too. And I encourage to do all the listeners as well. The best investment you can make, it's in yourself. And from any perspective, right? Because we're thinking about financial investments in something to be able to make more money. But in the end of the day, whatever money you have in this world, if you're not happy and you're not truly successful as the person, that's not going to make any difference. Either you have millions or zero on your bank account. So the best investments is in yourself, in your health, in your spirituality, in your personal growth. And that's absolutely true. Like from my experience, from your experience, from ever, like anyone, from millionaire to like the lowest, social person, that's always going to pay off the best way for you guys. So of course you can guys find all the information and join the retreats in the future on Emily, Involve with Emily retreat page on Instagram, and anywhere else you can connect people.
Yeah, just my main page as well. It's Emily Hayden on Instagram, and then check out my podcast if you guys would like, Evolve with Emily podcast.
Yes, it's absolutely a great thing. That's what inspired me to do my podcast. So I'm sure I already mentioned that in my podcast. You guys go ahead and check it out. And then I will leave in the description down below all the links so you can easily find it. But before I let you go, I also want to a little bit touch on your nutrition journey. So through your Involved with Emily retreat, first of all, I met the Emily who was strict to the diet, competing as a bikini pro and achieving her highest dreams. So, and when I last time saw you, right, in Oahu, I felt absolutely different energy, and I saw that you use absolutely different approach to nutrition and to even alcohol. That's what you shared in your last podcast that I listened, in Wolf is Emily podcast. So can you share us a little bit more like about your diet, about wherever you did align like with this journey, align to yourself when it comes to nutrition, to the workout, how you was be able to manage that, especially with so much traveling?
Yeah, that's a good question. So one thing that I think has shifted the most is my intention when it comes to my food and my nutrition. So before, it was very business oriented for me in the sense that I'm a competitor and it was just whatever I needed to do in order to achieve the results that I was achieving. And granted, you are eating lean meats and proteins and vegetables and complex carbs. So you're eating a healthy diet. However, I have really incorporated such a more flexible way of eating and living to where I would say a majority of my diet now is the whole nutrient dense foods. And then on top of that, I still have freedom and flexibility to enjoy myself when I would like to. There's no restrictions. I'm not counting calories. I'm not on a strict meal plan. I am just very aware of where my proteins are sourced and if they are well taken care of. And like if they're pasture raised, I don't do anything that's been in cages or things like that. So I'm becoming more aware and more conscious of the source of all the foods that I'm eating. That's something that has taken a lot of individual research, stuff that I'm still looking into. And I feel like sometimes it could feel overwhelming to go down that journey of starting to become aware of how things work and where our food comes from and, you know, all the chemicals and things that are in everything. But it really have to be like, for me, I've just relieved myself of the pressure of having to have it all figured out. And instead, I just learn little by little and I implement and apply what feels right in alignment with me. So where I'm at now is I love myself by giving myself high quality, nutrient dense foods that are going to give me energy. They're going to give me brain focus. And so I'm really focused on performance, feeling, intention, gratitude versus let me just get these calories in and let me count my calories. Let me be so strict, all the things that I used to do. Right. So that's probably been the biggest shift for me is just my intentionality behind it. And also my balanced way of living where I'm never on or off program. I live a certain lifestyle and I can typically live that lifestyle anywhere that I am. And in regards to the training, so I mentioned on the last day of my Hawaii trip, I did a little like check-in. It was a check-in video with everyone and I'm just in my bikini. I'm about to go to the beach and I did a little check-in video and I showed people like how I'm feeling, what I'm looking like. And I shared how in 14 days, I had not lifted a single weight, which for an IFBB Bikini Pro, someone who's in bodybuilding for so many years, big athlete, way back then, I could not imagine 2 weeks without lifting. I would have just been like, I can't miss a day, so strict on my routine, right?
I hear you.
Yeah. And yet here I am. And because of my intention when it comes to even activity, I love moving my body and I love stretching it and noticing where there's tension and I release it. And I love yoga. I love jujitsu. There's so many aspects that make up the way that I move my body. So when I'm traveling, I'm walking extra. I'm walking to check out a coffee shop or being intentional about getting more steps in. I'm doing jujitsu with friends in a new city. I'm doing yoga with you in Hawaii. I'm being active, going on a hike. I'm incorporating all the things that I love, which is nature, friendship, being active into a hike. And so those are my daily active movements versus when I'm at home, I'm in my routine. I have the gym that I love and I love lifting. I love weightlifting, but it just looks different. So when I travel, it depends what I'm doing. Sometimes I'm still weightlifting because I love it and it's a part of what I do. Other times I'm there for a different purpose and I'm totally okay taking time off. And the results for anyone that didn't see that video is that I still looked good. I felt good. I felt confident. I feel just good and balanced. And I really found such a beautiful, balanced way to live my life to where it's so flexible. Like maybe one day I do jujitsu one trip I do jujitsu for like a week. And then the next trip I'm doing mainly yoga for a week. And then I get home and I'm doing jujitsu, yoga, volleyball, weightlifting. I just make sure to incorporate all the things that I love. And they sometimes just change in the amount that I do them based on the intention of the trip. If I'm home, what I'm feeling. Yesterday wasn't supposed to be an off day, but work was going really well. And I was really involved and passionate in what I was doing. And then I had run club. So yesterday it was just a running day for me, which just was great. I loved it. I had a great time and I did recovery afterwards. So I just love being in this place where it feels so good. Like I just feel so grateful to move my body in any way. And I have a lot of different options and tools of how I can move my body. So hopefully that answered your question.
Yes, absolutely. That was like amazing answer and an example for someone out there who are too stressed, because we actually sometimes over stressing the need of going to the gym or exercise. In the end of the day, we just need to move around, right? Do some hiking, walk to your grocery store, not drive everywhere, do as much movement as possible, and listen to what you just said. I just wanted to mention that point that again, because as a nutritionist, this is like a golden words. Look at your plate and love yourself so much that you want to only eat something that's make you feel good, not even look good. That's kind of an, results that will come eventually, just because you're never going to put something bad in you, because you love yourself truly from inside, that you wanted to only eat something that make you feel good, and that eventually will make you look good. It's never the other way around. And I think that's a lot of the time, especially in the fitness industry, we forgot. We focus on calories in, calories out, or any specific goal that we have. And sometimes we just over focus on that. And we forgot that, well, the food is actually there to make us feel good and to nourish ourselves, right? And it's nothing bad with you skipping the workout. It's actually bad if you are stressed about that. So stop over stressing. And I'm absolutely happy you share your story. And then I think anyone who listens to that can benefit from today's podcast. So thank you so much for spending time with us and sharing all this amazing information. Before I let you go, I have last question that I ask everyone. And then I don't know if you remember, because you did answer on that last time. So it's going to be interesting to anyone who listen to get back and to listen. What did you answer last time?
I have no idea what's about to come.
Yeah, I will get back and I will tell you later on if those answers were the same or not. So if you're gonna know that's your last day on this earth, what you gonna do?
Oh, if it's my last day on earth?
Yeah, and you know that.
If it's my last day on earth, I'm going to film my last podcast. I'm gonna share my last message with the world, like podcast, YouTube video, and I'm going to speak directly to my audience. I am going to spend time with friends and family. I'm going to probably jump in the ocean, get a workout in, move my body, cuddle my puppies. And yeah, I think that's it. Probably eat a really good meal, maybe some dessert.
Yes. Wow. So you actually would just leave your normal day. You described one of the days of your life.
Wait, you're right. I literally did.
Yeah. And
That's cool.
This tells us that you have a beautiful life, that you truly live every day as the last one, because, well, in the end of the day, we never know.
I love that. You kind of tricked me a little bit. Thank you. Reflection.
Yeah, but you actually, answer perfectly, because a lot of the time we do something in regular life that we don't really enjoy. And then if we think it's the last day, we're like, I just gonna do something totally different. So I absolutely grateful to hear that you said the first thing you're gonna do is actually do your podcast or whatever YouTube video. So that's what you do. And that only tells me that you're truly in line with yourself and you love what you do, and then you love the people you around with, right? Because you're actually going to do all the same things just last time.
Oh, it's making me so emotional.
Yeah, Yeah, I love it too. I love you so much. Thank you so much for spending time today with us. If you want to say anything to listeners, you have a chance right now before we end this.
Whew. Yeah, I need a second.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
I just have to share right before we leave the reason why I'm getting so emotional. And it's because I've just had such a life transformation. And it's, not even a year ago, I was in a place where I was in so much emotional pain and turmoil that I begged God to remove my energy from this earth. And I felt it was necessary to share that with people. I know that that's really hard to hear, but that's why I have so much gratitude for my life, because it wasn't always this way. I could barely make it through the days, and I didn't live a life that I wanted to live right before I died. And that was actually the question. That was the question that got me to make changes in my life, is when I asked myself, okay, if you're sitting here having these negative thoughts about not being here, are you proud of the life that you just lived? Would you be proud if you died right now? And my answer was hell no. And I said, then you get up and you create a life that you would be proud of if you died. And so just hearing you reflect that to me right now just gave me the awareness that I'm here and it's not much later, and I've created a life that I would be so proud of, but now I don't want to go. And now I'm so grateful that I get to stay. And so I just want to share that if someone's listening and they feel like they were in those shoes that I was in, you absolutely do have the power within you to create the changes. And I only know that because I've walked it. So let this be a message that you need to hear to get up, make some drastic changes in your life, and come join me on this side. It's going to take a lot of work. It's not going to be easy. There's going to be a lot of hard moments, but you just have to make that decision for yourself that you're worth it. And if there is a life that exists for you that you can love at the depth that I love my life, which there is, then it's worth it. So I just want to encourage you to go after that for yourself.
Yes, thank you so much. I
Thank
do
you.
feel same. I get chills just right now. And I absolutely grateful that I be able to walk this path with you, and you helped me through my life, through my transformation. That was one of the steps that I need to take too when we actually met. So join us, guys.
Come
Create the
evolve.
life you love, and
Yes.
we're gonna hear you soon again. Bye bye, everyone.
Thank you.